All right, today we're going to start talking about slope intercept form. Now, we briefly talked about this last chapter, but we're going to go obviously much more in depth to it right now. So what are we going to do? We're going to write linear equations in slope intercept form, and we're also going to graph linear equations in slope intercept form. So we're going to do both of them. We're going to start off with the writing. This is pretty simple once we know what slope intercept form is. And then we're going to use that to graph. Now, we've graphed linear equations last chapter, but we made a whole table to go ahead and do all of that. This is actually a lot easier and will be a lot quicker once you get the hang of it. All right, so what is slope-intercept form? Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Now remember, m is our slope, and we kind of did that a little bit with our direct variation. It was y equals just the mx. But now I have a b value, a plus something. It could be plus or it could be minus. And what that b value does is it moves up and down the y-axis here. Plus b, whatever b is, so if it's plus 2, I go up 2 as my starting point. Remember when we did the direct variations, they were always started at the origin. Well, this plus just means that it goes up or maybe down if it's a minus. And we're still going to use that idea of slope to go to the next point, and that will allow us to graph our lines. But our formula has to be in this form, y equals. Remember, standard form is not that way. So we'll just have to move it over. All right, so notice we need two things. We need a slope and a y-intercept. All right, and once we have those, we can write this equation. So that's what we're going to do first. Write an equation of a slope-intercept form with a slope of 1/4 and a y-intercept of -6. They give us both of those. So here's our form. We're just going to take this 1/4 and put it in for m. We're going to take this -6 and put it in for b. So y equals 1/4 x minus 6, which is our answer. As I said, real simple. That's if they set it up this way. We're going to just deal with problems that aren't this simple, but that's for another day. Write an equation, slope of 4 and y-intercept of 3. So the 4 goes next to the x, so 4x here, and then plus 3. So we have b as our answer. We can even do it from a graph. Remember, a y-intercept is where on this axis that we have a dot. So we have a y-intercept of -3, and we need to find our slope. Well, we have 2 points, and 2 points can find our slope. So we can go ahead and do our y2 minus y1 and do all of this. And we get a value of 2, or 2/1. So our slope is 2, and our y-intercept was -3. So we can write our equation 2x minus 3. But let's talk about this. I went through this kind of quickly. Obviously, you can do that, but an easier way is just to count them up. If I have a graph like this with the grid on it already, I can just go 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 2. And if you'll notice, we had that 4/2, or just 2. So instead of having to do all the math here, if you can just count it up, feel free to do so. The slope is just 2 and crosses at -3. So 2x minus 3. All right, what about this one? This one crosses at 3, so it should have plus 3, so this one's out. And then we just count it. So now we're going down 2 and over 1, 2, 3, 4. Down 2 and over 4, we need to reduce that. 2/4 is just 1/2. So we have the 1/2 plus 3. So B is our answer. All right. How do we go ahead and go the other way? If we have the equation, how do we graph it? Well, remember what we did here is we had a y-intercept and we counted how many to the next spot. Well, here we have a y-intercept and we can tell you how to get to the next spot. 0.5 as a fraction. I guess we'll get to that in just a moment. So we start at our starting spot. Instead of being the origin, we got to go down 7 because it says -7. So down to 7. Now the 0.5 becomes 1/2. We have to have it as a fraction because we need rise over run. So from this point, not the origin, from this point, I'm going to go up 1 and over 2 and make a dot here. And up 1 and over 2 and make a dot here. And there. And keep going. And all those dots end up being this line. This is the one that's in standard form. I kind of talked about this earlier. This is not in y equals. We can't graph it that easily. We can't just graph 8 and then some other number. So we have to move it over. And there's 2 steps in order to do that. The first step is to move the x over. Remember, when we move the x over to the other side, we're going to have to change its sign. So let's show that. Here's the original problem. And I'm going to subtract 5x over. Okay. So here's the 5x, here's the minus 5x. Those will cancel, leaving me just 4y. And then it's negative 5x, and this is a positive 8. So negative 5x plus 8. You should write it in the correct form. Okay. You could write it like this, or we can flip it around, whichever way. Remember, if I want this to be negative, I would have a negative there, and I would make that minus then. But because this is a positive 8, we make plus 8. We move the 5x over, and that became negative. So that's step 1, just taking the x and moving it over. Step 2 is going to be divide by the number in front of the y. So we're going to divide by 4. Now we divide everything by 4. This by 4, this by 4, this by 4. See, everything by 4. And so when we divide this by 4, we just get our y. And then negative 5/4, that's fine. We can leave it as negative 5/4 because that's a slope. So we need it as a fraction anyways. So don't write it as a decimal because you're just going to change it right back. Then over here we have 8 divided by 4, or 2. So 2 is our starting, that plus 2 goes up here, makes our starting point. And then from there I'm going to go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 1, 2, 3, 4. So down 5 and over 4, down 5 and over 4, make a dot, and then we'll be able to make our line. Significantly easier than making the table. All right, so what about this one? This one starts at negative 4. So here's our origin. We go down 4. That one's up 4. That one can't be it. And this one's up 2. That can't be it. This one's down 4. And this one's down 4. So we're here or here. And then the slope is 2. Now remember, we want to write 2 as a fraction. So it's 2 over 1. So I've got to go up 2 and over 1. Over here, up 2. This one doesn't go up at all. It just stays. So our answer is C. Here's another one that's in standard form, so we got to move it over. So again, I take the 3x and subtract it over. Again, change it in its sign, making it negative 3x, positive 6. Then I divide by what's in front of the y, so divide by 2. And negative 3/2 x plus 3. So I got to start at 3. These start at 2. Those are wrong. This one starts at negative. This one's the only one that's right. And let's look at the slope just to confirm. We go down 3 and over 2. Yep, down 3 and over 2. And notice how I keep on that line if I keep doing that. Answer is most assuredly D. Another couple more of this just to make sure that we understand it. Where are we starting at? Plus 1. So here's the origin. Go up 1. Origin up 1. Origin up 1. So it's one of these two. And then we have 3x. So we go up 3 and over 1. Nope, that's not right. Up 3 and over 1. Some of these graphs kind of get close here, but up 3 and over 1, it's D again. Here's another one we have to go ahead and change over from standard form. So notice where the x is. It's back here. It's minus 3x, so I got to change it to plus 3x. So it's 3x plus 6. Again, divided by 2, so I have 3/2 x plus 3. So up 3 is here. Up 3. All right, so one of these, this one's out. And then we go up 3 and over 2. So this is going to be a little bit hard to go ahead and see because these graphs are small. So the other way we can do is we can go backwards, I guess. We can go down 3 and over 2. Down 3 and over 2. Nope, that's down 3 and over 2. Nope. So if I go backwards instead of up 3 and over 2, I can go back down 3 and back 2. That would work also. So there's A. That's what I have for you today.